Back in 2023, when Kawasaki announced that they are going to pull the plug on the Ninja 400, those who owned that bike became really happy because they thought their motorcycle is now going to become a rare commodity and it's just gonna go up in value so that they can sell the $4,000 motorcycle they bought today for $4,052 in 10 years. But Kawasaki soon put an end to their happiness by announcing that no, they're not just canceling the Ninja 400, they're actually replacing it with a new and improved motorcycle, which is the bike that's in front of us, the first model year for 2024, Kawasaki Ninja 500, and not just a regular 500, this is the SE ABS 40th anniversary, so the most special one you can get. And this is what we're gonna be doing today. We're gonna go wheel to wheel and everything in between on this 2024 Kawasaki Ninja 500 SE 40th anniversary edition ABS and see if this bike is gonna beat out Ninja 400 in every aspect, and whether if you have one, a Ninja 400, you should or should not upgrade to this motorcycle. Then we're gonna get on it, go out there and ride this bike and put the technology, the vast amount of technology that Kawasaki is giving you to test. Then I'm gonna quantify my thoughts finally and give this motorcycle the Emmy score. Let's start by talking about what's under the hood, the engine on this motorcycle. It's not a 500cc engine as the name would have potentially suggested. It's in fact a 451cc parallel twin engine that makes about 50 horsepower and about 32 foot-pounds of torque. Comparing these figures to the previous generation Ninja 400, you did have a 399cc engine, so closer to what the name of the motorcycle was, if that's any important at all to you. And it made about 34 horsepower and about 25 foot-pounds of torque. So you do get improvements here and there on this engine thanks to the additional 52 cc's that this bike has as opposed to the Ninja 400. And this engine is barely visible because there is a buttload of plastics covering everything. I can barely see where even the engine is. I can only assume it's over here. Coming out of this engine, you have two pipes coming out and then going under here to a not so visible catalytic converter, again covered under more plastics. But that's okay. This bike is supposed to be a sport touring bike. It's not a naked bike, so somebody who buys this bike is okay with this much fairing on it. And in fact, I don't mind it. We'll talk about design later. We will get into more details of what Kawasaki has done in 2024 to this bike. But anyways, going out away from this catalytic converter, you get to this muffler that is kind of a controversial point on Kawasaki's motorcycles. I don't think I've ever seen a Kawasaki bike other than the Ninja 650 that had a good looking muffler. And the reason Ninja 650 had a good looking muffler was because you can barely see a muffler. It's one of those tucked under bike Ducati-esque looking mufflers. But over here, it's one of those mailboxes you get on this bike and a lot of other Kawasaki's, but no fret, because that's obviously the first thing that a lot of motorcyclists do is they take that muffler off. But anyways, this is how the Ninja 500 sounds. Now, what about storage on this motorcycle? It is a sport tourer after all, so you're expected to ride this around town, run errands, go to the grocery store, go to school, go to work. You may want to carry some items. Can you do that on this motorcycle? Well, let's figure it out. First, you grab the key fob, and that's right, it's got a key fob because this is a keyless motorcycle, and I will go through the options, features, electronics on this motorcycle with you in a second. But right now, let's grab the key fob, place it where 99% of Kawasaki's keyholes at, and when you twist that, you can remove the rear seat. And when you remove the rear seat, you realize this platform is almost identical to a lot of other Kawasaki's in its class, like the ZX4 R and the Double R. They all have a mechanism like that, even the EV Ninja E1 EV. That one has the exact same setup here. You put the key here, you open it, and you have this much storage, as much as all those other models do. And there is a cable here, and when you pull that cable, you can open the front seat, the rider seat, which gives you access to the batteries and the toolbox on this motorcycle. So the easiest access to the rear and the front seat on this bike. I have reviewed other motorcycles from other brands that don't let you do that without tools. So that's a real upside when it comes to Kawasaki. And combining the space up front and the space in the back, you do get a solid amount of space for thinner, smaller items. If you have anything boxy shaped, it's not gonna fit in either of these two, but it's better than nothing. Let's start talking about the design on this 2024 Ninja 500. It is unique to this year, starting in 2024, and who knows to what year. It's gonna be this new generation, the new headline design, the new bodyworks. It is distinct and different than the previous generation, the Ninja 400, running from 2018 to 2023. This bike looks different. Some elements are carried over from the previous Ninjas to this one, like the mirrors are identical. These spoilers under this new set of headlights, these spoilers are the same. Ninja 400 had them starting with 2018 to 2023 models. The muffler is the same as the previous generation, but almost everything else you look around looks different. When you compare Ninja 400 and Ninja 500, they don't, at a glance, they might look similar, but when you actually start going panel by panel, they do look different. In fact, Kawasaki uses the phrasing layered design, which reminds me of Shrek when he's talking about ogres being like onions, having layers. This bike is also green, and like an onion, this one also has layers. I will show you a better angle as I'm talking about it. You will see this motorcycle starting with the gas tank being the narrowest part, and where you sit on the motorcycle being the narrowest parts of this bike. And slowly, the bike layers outwards, almost 10 inches, 5 inches on either side. The motorcycle just expands in size, and that is to make enough room for the flying buttresses that was on the Ninja ZX6R is also now on the Ninja 500. Overall, I think this bike looks really good. If you are into sport tourer motorcycles, you're gonna like this design. If you're not into them, they probably all just look weird to you. Now let's talk technology on the Ninja 500, which you get a lot of features, a compelling package here for about $6,600 US, which is a pretty good price for what you're getting. Starting with the most prominent technology piece here, the Key Pass, or Kawasaki's Intelligent Proximity Activated Start System, or something like that, which essentially means it's a keyless motorcycle. And you can tell that from the fact that there is no keyhole up here on the dash. Instead, you have this turning mechanism, which I think Kawasaki has really cheaped out on. It's really rattly, it moves around a lot, it's made of a very cheap plastic, and I can't figure out the mechanism of how it works really, because technically you are supposed to push it in to be able to lock the steering wheel, but you can also push it in to go to the ignition mode. But if you push it in and go to the ignition mode, nothing happens. You can just free turn it as many times as you want without anything happening. The only way you can get the motorcycle started is to not push it in and reset it somewhere around here, and then turn it without pushing in. See, I can't even figure it out. Oh, there you go. It worked finally. I was here messing with it for 30-40 seconds before the first time I could turn this motorcycle on. What they didn't cheap out on is the key fob itself. It's really solidly built. It's super heavy. The mechanism, the key shoots out 100% without getting stuck in its path. And also when you close it, it closes with a really satisfying sound. And there's of course the Ninja emblem at the very top of the key. It feels really nice. It's super solidly built, as I said. But again, the ignition itself is really cheap feeling. But anyways, that's the Key Pass. You also get the same TFT screen as on a lot of other Kawasaki motorcycles. You do get this on the SE model, as well as the Key Pass. Both of these features are only on the SE model. If you get the Ninja 500 base, you get a normal ignition in case you prefer that over a keyless one. And you also get a simple LCD screen instead of this TFT. The LCD has no animations essentially to it, and it looks a little darker and harder to see under the sunlight. the TFT is full color. It has startup and shutdown animations, and it looks a little nicer, I guess. But that's on the SE model. Other features that are on the SE model and not the regular one, you also get a USB-C on the left side of the dash in case you want to plug in your GoPro or your mobile cell phone, whatever you want to plug in while you're on the go. You do have a USB-C built into the motorcycle. You don't have that on the non-SE version of this bike. And again, for the SE one, you do get that larger windscreen, you do get frame sliders, and you do get tank pads on this motorcycle that you don't get on the regular non-SE version. And you also get LED turn signals on the non-SE version. You don't get the LED ones, you just get light bulbs. And as I mentioned, you also get the radiator cover on the SE that you don't get on the regular one. And all SE models do have ABS. You cannot get an SE without ABS, but you can get ABS without SE. In fact, that's a pretty confusing topic, so let's go over it right now. Now let's talk Ninja 500's colors, trims, options, ABS, no ABS, all those things. It's very confusing, so let's see if I can break this down. So if you want to go buy a Ninja 500, you can make an informed decision and you don't miss out on features or a color you thought was not available, but in fact it was. Think of it as 3 parameters: SE, no SE, ABS, no ABS, and colors that are the result of combining those 2 previous factors. First, think of this. Do you want the SE or do you not care about what SE offers you? Again, those features were the key pass, the TFT screen, the larger windscreen, tank pass, frame sliders, stuff like that. Do you want these things or not? If you don't, then you gotta go base, the non-SE version. If you go base, then you have the option of picking ABS or no ABS. Is ABS important to you or not? Personally, I do want ABS. So if you go base ABS, then you can get this motorcycle in 3 colors. You can get it in black, you can get it in silver, and you can get it in black-red combinations. If you don't care about ABS and you don't care about SE, so you can get a base non-ABS version, you only have 2 choices. You can either get it in black or you can get it in KRT or Kawasaki's racing team colors. Now, if you do care about SE features, you can get the SE and you only get it in ABS, so there is no non-ABS version. So if you get SE ABS, you have 3 colors to pick from. Either you can get this 40th anniversary, or you can get this motorcycle in red and black combo, or you can get it in, again, KRT or Kawasaki's racing team. So hopefully that clears up the colors and the features available to you if you want to go pick one of these up. And the price ranges somewhere from $5,000 to the most expensive one, which is $6,600. So about $1,500–1,600 of a price range that you need to keep in mind depending on what version you want to go with. And with all of that out of the way, let's go and ride this motorcycle. But before we do that, a huge shout out to Bellevue Motorsports for allowing us to take this bike out on the road and test it and show it from every angle to you guys and put as many miles as we want on this motorcycle. Go check out Bellevue Motorsports. They have some of the most exciting motorcycles in their inventory. They allowed me a good window to review this bike and to figure it out and show you everything while people are waiting at the dealership for me to go back and so they can test ride this bike and buy it. Go check out Bellevue Motorsports. I will leave a link to this bike if they have any more of them in stock, as well as a link to their general homepage in the description section of this video. Go check them out, Bellevue Motorsports. And now let's go and ride this bike. So the key fob is in our pocket. I can feel it. Essentially, you just get on the bike and then all you gotta do, that's not gonna fall, hopefully. All you gotta do is just turn it on. Ha! Of course it wouldn't work. What am I doing wrong? A little bit pressure, a lot pressure. Oh, okay, I think I was turning it past where it's supposed to go, but anyways, I shouldn't be able to, but apparently I can. I can just continue to rotate this 360 as much as I want, but anyways, let's go. I am going 30 miles an hour in 5th gear and it keeps telling me to shift up. I'm literally stalling the bike. I mean, you can see it vibrate because it's stalling and then it tells me to shift up. Well, oh, maybe that's adjustable. Maybe you can just put the, like the red, not the red line, but the shift indicator to a much higher value on the RPM range, but this is set really low from factory. Everything that this bike is equipped with are the things that I would have done myself if I had purchased this bike. Tang pads, frame sliders, a bigger windscreen, like those zero gravity windscreens that you put on, the bubble ones or whatever they're called, the ones that are taller. This one already has it. It has everything that you would want to put on your motorcycle after you buy it. Has everything already. The only things you gotta do when you buy this motorcycle is you gotta change the muffler out, probably, unless you like the way it sounds and the way it looks. Then that's totally fine. That's you do you. One thing, and the tidy tail, just taking that plastic piece off. One thing that I don't really love is the amount of glare I'm getting from that lower green panel. Pretty much half of my windscreen is obstructed by that distracting green reflection. I don't know if all Kawasaki's have that of this generation, because I mean there isn't really that much of a difference between the design of this one and the rest of them. So are they all experiencing something like this? Not the best thing, but again, not a deal breaker. But I wish that wasn't like that. But anyways, it's there. Also, what's the point of that hole at the bottom of the windscreen? Isn't it supposed to prevent wind from hitting you in the face? With that hole, the wind is just coming through and I'm feeling it right over my face. What is with that? You see that hole right there? The massive opening. It's crazy. Anyways. Alright, I really like this bike. It's as harmless as it gets. It's like the Honda Rebel of tourers, sport tourers. It's like basic, you know. It does everything it advertises. Good power delivery, good features on it. I don't know how I feel about this key pass, the keyless go system. I'm more of a fan of a ignition switch myself, like the key, to put the key there rather than this keyless go, especially if it's built this cheaply. But I mean, if you like it, you like it, that's fine. The problem is you can't not get it and get everything else. You have to opt in it along with the key pass, because it's part of a larger package. It's not like BMW where you can be picky with what you get and what you don't get, and you can pay per feature. No, you get the whole thing. But anyways, I love this bike, but it's totally worth the price they're asking.
And now, onto the ME score for the 2024 Kawasaki Ninja 500 SE ABS. In the commuter category, the Ninja 500 comes with a lot of goodies useful to a commuter. LED lighting for better visibility, a fairly large TFT screen, ABS, keyless go, street-friendly ergonomics, a comfy seat, a large windscreen, segmented fuel gauge, slipper and assist clutch, a liquid-cooled engine that can help you in heavy traffics, and a USB-C outlet so you can charge stuff on the go. Add that to a very fair MSRP and a relatively low maintenance cost, as well as a strong dealership support in the US, and you have the perfect commuter bike. The Ninja 500 earns an impressive 20 out of 20 in the commuter category. Now on to the performance/dope factor category. As for track-specific tech and features, you don't get a lot, because at the end of the day, this bike is designed for road use. Of the things that could help you on the racetrack, I can name the frame sliders, tang pads to be able to hold on to the bike better, and functioning design characteristics for high speeds, like the headlight spoilers and the flying buttresses. The Ninja 500 makes moderate power and is tuned for low-end torque thanks to its parallel twin engine, as opposed to something like the ZX4RR that I reviewed, which was equipped with a screaming inline 4 for better track performance. Sitting at 377 pounds wet, this bike is pretty light for a motorcycle in its category. As for the design choices and marketplace, the Ninja 500 comes in so many colors and so many trims, and other than the keyless function, every other part of this bike is built with quality in mind. I, for one, find this bike very attractive thanks to the layered design, and especially in this unique 40th anniversary livery. The Ninja 500, however, is not really a special bike because it is fairly cheap and it is not a limited production motorcycle. With all of that, the Ninja 500 gets a 12.5 out of 20 for the overall performance and dope factor category. And it sits here at the top of the chart, claiming the crown as the new king of the Emmy score in the sport category. The Ninja 500 is going to be a big success. I can tell you that because it is improved in every way compared to the Ninja 400, which itself was a great motorcycle. So if you get the opportunity to test ride one of these, I highly recommend you do that.